But there are, as I say, a few stories that are of great concern to me, and I'm sure to many of you as well. Praise be to Jesus. Let me just go through a couple of headlines first with you. Okay, this one is out of the Pillar. Special report, the COVID mass effect. Let me just read this top line. The number of Catholics who say they go to Mass every week has dropped by 14% since the COVID-19 pandemic, according to the Pillar's new survey on religious attitudes and practices. I'll go on to read. The decline could explain a proportional decline in parish collections. In March, the Pillar found parishes experienced a 12% average decrease in collections during 2020 as compared to 2019 as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and shutdown orders implemented in many locations. All right, so, COVID happened, and then, of course, all the parishes across the country shut down, and everybody went to television masses, and then the parishes and the dioceses began to open back up, and they were trying to get people to come back, and many didn't come back, and now they're down 14%. Guess what the number was before all of that happened? Well, it wasn't good. The number before was actually very, very bad, and now it's just worse by 14%. All right, so there's that. There's that. But wait, there's more. Oh, yeah, there's more. How about this? Catholic-funded group founded coalition pushing abortion, LGBT activism, Workers' Center of Central New York. This is a report out of Lepanto Institute, our friend Michael Hitchborn, which I'm going to be hanging out with him on Monday, by the way. It says since 2015, the Catholic Campaign for Human Development has provided $270,000 in grants to the Workers' Center for Central New York, including $70,000 grant in CCHD's last published grant cycle, the very last one. So we're not talking years ago. This is right now. This is happening right now. These groups, as the report goes on to detail with great effort by showing proof, as Jack Posobiec would say, showing the receipts of how these groups support issues that we as Catholics are very contrary to, and yet we give them money. We give them money. We continue to give them money. So great scandal there. But wait, there's more. Oh, yeah, there's more. Here's a report out of Cleveland.com. Headline goes like this. Northeast Ohio priest sentenced to life in prison for sexually exploiting boys, collecting large cash of child pornography. Oh, yeah. A Catholic priest was sentenced to life in prison Tuesday for sexually exploiting boys, some of whom he extorted with details he gained from taking their confessions. Did you catch that? He heard their confessions and then used it against them. Well, U.S. District Judge Sarah Lowy said the public needed to be protected from Father Robert McWilliams, saying the priest devastated and preyed upon the very youths who sought his help. Just yesterday, we had a conversation with Christine Niles about the priest in Scranton, Pennsylvania, who has been arrested, publicly admitting his own guilt on video that he was targeting teenage boys on Tinder for hookups. Oh, yeah. But wait, there's more. Oh, there's more. Now, in spite of the massive scandals in the church, sexual, financial, moral, and all these other issues. I mean, yesterday I also reported that the Vatican stood to lose, 100 million pounds from the failed property deal out of London. I mean, Peter Pence money that we all give money to the church to do charitable works, to share the good, the true, and the beautiful, to do good things, instead was used to buy, a condo in London, and it went bad, and they're losing $100 million in the process, 100 million pounds. And what we see instead is a concerted effort to not address these massive sexual, massive financial, massive moral problems within the church. Instead, we see an effort to suppress traditional forms of piety and liturgy and to suppress those that want more of the Catholic Church, not less. I mean, 14% in numbers going down after COVID, and it wasn't great before. This is a problem. But the Vatican liturgy chief, this is out of this Catholic News Agency, he actually claims, now this is Archbishop Arthur Roach out of the Vatican, he is claiming that Pope Paul VI abrogated the traditional form of the Mass. Is that true? Well, whether it's true or not is one issue, and I'll come back to that in a second. The real issue is, even if it's not true, it doesn't matter. The effect is the same because people are taking the ball and they are running with it. For instance, Cardinal Cupich out of America Magazine. He says Pope Francis's Latin Mass reforms are necessary to secure Vatican II's legacy. Really? Does Vatican II's legacy need securing? Does it need help? Does it need your help? I mean, Vatican II legacy will stand or fall all on its own. We don't need to help it one way or the other. The Council Fathers got together. The documents were what they were. They said what they said. Why do we need to secure its legacy? Does it have to be secured? I'm confused. The article goes on to say this. On July 16th, Pope Francis issued the motu proprio Traditionis Custodes, calling on all Roman Catholics to fully accept that the liturgical books promulgated by Pope St. Paul VI and St. John Paul II are the unique expression of the lex orandi, the law of praying of the Roman Rite. Why did the Holy Father issue this document? And why now, 60 years after these books were published? In the early 1970s, a movement led by Archbishop Marcel Lefebvre across Europe, rejecting the teaching and reforms of the Second Vatican Council. That's actually not a true statement, by the way. That's not what he did. I mean, he was a part of the council itself. He signed those documents. So that's actually not a true statement. Archbishop Lefebvre was later excommunicated by Pope John Paul II as a means of promoting unity and inviting those associated with this movement to return to the Catholic Church. Pope John Paul II allowed bishops to provide the limited celebration of the Missal in use prior to Vatican II for those still attached to the earlier liturgy. This article goes on to say, his successor, Pope Benedict XVI, expanded this concession to the motu proprio summorum pontificum so that any priest could use the earlier liturgical forms without permission of his bishop. The motive of both JP2 and Benedict XVI, as Pope Francis observes in Traditionis Custodes, was to facilitate the ecclesial communion of those Catholics who feel attached to some earlier liturgical forms and not to others. Well, let me just say this. Going back to our friend here, Archbishop Arthur Roach out of the Vatican, who claims Pope Paul VI abrogated the TLM, the traditional form of the Mass. Is that true? Well, Benedict XVI actually says no. He actually says it wasn't abrogated when he also made it more accessible for priests around the world to say the traditional form of the Mass. So, as Archbishop Corleone said on Raymond Arroyo's program just last night, this archbishop is in clear contrast to the Pope Emeritus and his comments. Golly Jew is, what is the average layperson supposed to believe? Cardinal Cupich here in this article goes on to basically say that the traditional form of the Mass has to go away because we need to be all together in one happy family, all under the new form of the Mass to shore up Vatican II. Golly Jew is, I just, on one level, I gotta say, I just wish that they would put this much effort, time, and energy into actually addressing the major scandals that are rocking the faith of thousands of Catholics on planet Earth. God, I mean, if they put a fraction of the effort they are putting into climate change, I mean, they invite a guy like Jeffrey Sachs to the Vatican, who not only opposes Catholic teaching, he spits in the eye of Catholic teaching. And we're scandalized by that. And yet he gets invited and put on pontifical academies and all the rest. But that's not it. It goes beyond that. Do they put a fraction of that same effort into addressing the serious financial and sexual scandals that are rocking our church? I mean, what an opportunity His Holiness Pope Francis had when he met with Joe Biden, the foremost pro-abortion Catholic on planet Earth today. What an opportunity he would have had to journey with him, to disciple him, to engage him, to encourage him, to inspire him, to go to confession, to do penance, to make a public confession for his public scandal in embracing abortion, giving taxpayer dollars to the murder of children. What an opportunity. Could you imagine how incredible it would have been to read you that story the next day? that His Holiness Pope Francis, Vicar of Christ on earth, embraced and engaged the most pro-abortion Catholic and encouraged him to go to confession and make a worthy communion. Wouldn't that have just been mind-blowingly awesome? It did not happen, and the Vatican failed to take an opportunity there. They did the same thing with Nancy Pelosi just a few weeks before that, too, by the way. So one scandal after another scandal after another scandal. Is it any surprise to read this article over at The Pillar that 14% fewer Catholics go to Mass now post-COVID-19? Well, golly gee whiz, bishops, you shut the doors. You turned the TV on and said, watch it on TV. They listened to you, but are they even watching the TV? I doubt it. Highly doubt it. Highly, highly, highly doubt it. Check the numbers. No, why do I need to go to Mass at all anymore? Golly gee whiz, I can commune with God on the golf course. It's a beautiful day. God's creation. Isn't creation the foremost issue of our time? I mean, time is running out. We have to pay attention to the climate, do we not? Let me tell you something. In the second coming, there's going to be some global warming. A lot of global warming in the second coming. The earth, all of materialism gets consumed in fire in the second coming. We must be good stewards, but if we aren't good stewards of souls first, then we can never be good stewards of the environment. It's not one or the other, but there are priorities. And it is a scandal to so many Catholics to have to see all of these major, massive issues, financial, sexual, and all the rest, over and over again. And the effort is put into suppressing the traditional forms of piety and of liturgy. These Catholics want more of the Catholic faith, and we are catering to the world who wants less of the Catholic faith. Why? We need to stop this. If, imagine, in Traditionis Custodes, His Holiness said, you know what? As of today, I'm going to ask every bishop to ensure that at least one TLM is said in every suburban parish. The parking lots would fill up. Imagine that. And so would their coffers. But that's not the move they made, now is it? Where does this leave us? Prayer, fasting, and penance. This is the remedy Our Lady gave us in 1917 at Fatima. And it's still the remedy we must embrace today. Pray for the Pope today. Pray for the bishops. We'll be right back.